This all meant, of course, that we were now faced with how we were going to handle this whole thing administratively. So the boards of health had 10 to 12 members each. So with 6 folks, with 6 different boards, we were dealing with 70 or more people, I think was the number. Very unwieldy as a governing body. They all understood that, and so we worked with them to devise what we call a sort of executive committee, a working board that had just a couple of representatives from each of them. So we ended up with a board of about a dozen, not really a board, but an executive committee of a dozen. And we worked with that executive committee to work out all the details, and then we would have had monthly meetings with them, and then maybe quarterly meetings, or a meeting as necessary with a larger group to get them to ratify the decisions made. So every county had essentially an equal voice in this. The state was very helpful, state health department, in helping us pull all this together. So they provided technical assistance, and they began to increase the funding that was coming to us. Of course, administratively, then we had to combine these 6 groups into one. We had to rationalize the payment systems, which meant that the best paid people had salaries that stayed about the same, but people who were paid less then gradually but fairly quickly had their salaries ratcheted up, so that we had a district-wide personnel system and payment scale. And the extra money, of course, then allowed me to hire another person from the outside. And of course, we also then created directors' positions for nursing, environmental health, and so on, so that we found one person who would be in charge of all 6 counties for that. That created some hard feelings here and there, depending on who we chose, but we were able to work our way through that. I hired a fellow named Bob Troiano, who came with a strong background in fundraising. We figured we were in Appalachia, we weren't that far from Johnson's Great Society and War on Poverty, and there were still monies available to be spent in areas like Appalachia that had poor health status. But the county health departments were too small and represented too small a population and didn't have the skills actually to write for federal grants. Therefore, I decided we need to bring somebody in who knew how to do that. And Bob did that really quite well. And the short of it is, within a couple of years, we had tripled the budget and doubled the size of the staff with a combination of extra state money and new federal grants. So whatever little, I guess, whoever had been rubbed the wrong way by the changes, gradually, I think everyone came around because their salaries were up and their services were better. They were getting better reviews in the community. Of course, this meant that I had to learn about other organizations that were working in all 6 counties. The mental health system, for example, substance abuse, etc. And I know Ardith has a story she wants to tell about one time I spent agreeing to go visit rural mental health centers with the director of those centers who lived in Hazard.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to reset here.
Okay. Recording stopped.